Well, welcome to 284 Media's Just for the Record. I am your host, Kamal Haynes, and today joining me in studio is District 7 candidate Perline Scatliffe Leonard, who will be contesting as an independent candidate in the April 24th general election. We will get to the reasons why Mrs. Scatliffe Leonard decided to venture into a political career and how she intends on addressing some of the existing topical issues in the British Virgin Islands when we return.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on popular.
Rashford made it, Manchester United have come from behind to lead.
At home or on the go, watch CCT Live. Download our app and carry your favorite TV shows, news, or live sports anywhere you go. Visit cctbvi.com/live, select your package, and tune in.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us.
Welcome back. We're here on Just for the Record with Perline Scatliffe Leonard, who will be contesting as an independent candidate in District 7 in the April 24th general election. Well, welcome, Mrs. Scatliffe Leonard.
And thank you, Mr. Haynes, for welcoming me. 284 has been one of the medias I've been following, and I hope that today's session would provide some clarity for listening audience. And let's go. I'm ready.
Okay, well, I'm ready too, and
yes.
I hope you're ready in store for these questions.
Yes, sir.
I want to jump first into the question. I'd like to start off this way by providing the viewing public more insight as it relates to who you are as an individual. So let's start with, who is Perline Scatliffe Leonard?
Perline Scatliffe Leonard. As you know, I'm contesting the 7th district. And I grew up in that community of the Longlow community, more specifically. And growing up, we were like family. We understood the need to look out for each other. We understood the need to be respectful towards each other. And this is the type of community I want to see us getting back to. The whole idea of contesting the district came about not just now, because back in the 1990s, I was asked before, but I never saw a need at that time to contest because it was working. The representatives then, to me, you could see the love, you could see the attention they were paying to our community, but now we have lost that way. And I want to make sure that we don't totally lose it. I believe that there are issues in the district that are not being addressed that could be if a more passionate side, a more knowing side was involved in our community on those issues. So hence I'm here to provide that. I believe that my intervention at this time would promote some sort of a hope for our young men. And I'm very close with the gentlemen in the community and our young people. I'm very active in that. So I believe that I can make an impact. I'm ready to do what I have to do. I always say to folks, at the end of the day, when I am of age, get down to the older side of me, I want to be comfortable that we have those behind coming up who can add or who can maintain what needs to be put together. Mm-hmm. So I want to feel safe, in other words. I want to feel like we have a community or district that cares for one another. That's basically it.
Okay. Well, my second question ties back into more about yourself as well. I know you would have started to venture into why you decided to run for politics, but I haven't really gotten there yet. Yeah. So speak on your academic training and professional career for those who are not familiar with those.
It's a long list. I'm a very quiet person. I'm not a showy person. So you'll find that, the qualification that I have, I would not come out and speak about them, but I'm very much aware that in the current political arena, I have to do some speaking. I graduated from the BVI High School in 1981, thereabout. I graduated fourth in my class in that year. I proceeded on into the USA where I studied legal secretarial. So I was into stenography and the courts and all of that. So when I got back to the territory in January 1990, I was employed directly by the Ministry of Communications and Works. But in that setting, I was also a court reporter for the courts, for the high courts, where I did the stenography and did the transcripts and submitted those to the courts. I moved up the ladder within the Ministry of Communications to various positions, senior positions. I was more junior, permanent secretaries, personal assistant. I was desk officer to the fire and rescue services and the facilities management unit. So I know a lot about those departments. I know a lot of all of the departments under that ministry because my 33 years was in that ministry. As Human Resources Manager, which was my last position in the Ministry of Communications and Works, I was able to implement the very first employee recognition dinner in the public service. In that capacity as well, I was able to serve as project manager for the very first traffic lights in this territory, those at the junction there by Station Avenue, Treasure Isle. So I did that along with the renaming of the portion of the highway to the Walter Francis Drive. So I was very happy that I received that opportunity because then it took me out of my administration realm into a more technical realm. So I was very much appreciative of that. And I must thank the Honorable Fraser for giving me that opportunity because it's not everybody would give you such an opportunity. I continued in the Human Resources Manager's role until November 30th, 2012. I was asked to assist the Water and Sewage Department, more so on the administrative side because back then we had issues with our customer services and just collecting the revenue. So I was sent there to do that while the technical team, of course, they will report to the director, but then you expect your technical team to do what, they have to do. So I was very comfortable with that. So we opened up the very first customer service unit within that department in 2013. And it's after in 2014 we realized that there were issues at the department. So we continued to do what we needed to do within that area. But I did not stop at just administration in the department. I actually got into getting myself certified by attending various courses with the Sus Water Company. And I think that company is here now. Asset management, hydraulics testing. So I'm very much familiar with the various techniques in the field for water and sewage department. I am a holder of a bachelor's degree in management with the University of the West Indies with honors. I also did my postgraduate diploma with the Manchester University in business management. What's lacking from my master's there would be my dissertation, which I never completed because all the time that you would need to focus on that, I could not find that time because, the issues at water and sewage department. So I was given a waiver on that. So it's still there to do. It's not gone yet, but I did receive a postgraduate diploma in that as well. And my focus on that paper was water development in the British Virgin Islands. So I'm very much aware that, and I welcome training. I am a believer in training. I believe that if you're sent to do something, everybody's capable, in my view. And it's just an opportunity. And if you're capable, if you get the opportunity, you then have to take the steps to make sure your opportunity works for you. You have to make sure that you get whatever training you need to get to be successful where you need to, where they put you to be. And this is my philosophy. This is what I teach my children. Always grab the opportunity, but don't stop there. Keep learning. Learn more than you're sent there to do. And that's what I do. There are other qualifications in the water sector that I've done. And I guess those would come out in due time. I could speak and I would forget something. But the salient point is that wherever I go, I would pick up some sort of a training in the area. I'm going into the political field now, and I have an international political certification because I want to know what I'm getting myself into. So I have that certification, and actually I also have a certificate in governance and accountability and some others. But like I said, I'm not a showy person, and I don't like to, I like to do, basically. Once I'm doing and it's working and I'm getting through with the task, that's all my interest is, basically.
Okay. And my next question on my list was basically, why do you want to be a politician? I know you mentioned why you want to run for the 7th district, but you know, as a politician, it incorporates not only the 7th district, they're the ones who elect you, but also you have to represent the people in the whole afterwards. So why the role of a politician as a career going forward?
Alrighty. So I understand the politician and who that politician is. I understand the concept, but I see myself as a servant leader. A servant in that you are serving a population of people. In my case, I'm serving a district with various communities. So I see myself as a servant because they're the ones actually putting me there. But to lead them, you understand? So servant leader. Politicians to me, and sometimes when you hear the word, you think on all the negatives that that are wrong in the territory, and we want to change that concept. I am interested in changing that concept. To let people know that the power really, rests with you. You are the one who are giving me the type of power you think I have. And it's time for you as voters to understand that unless you make a concerted effort to let politicians know that you really are the employers, some of the behaviors that are displayed by politicians will not stop. And we as politicians, that's what we are called, we need to train our people to understand that you have the power. If you want something done, let's gather as a group and discuss issues, and this is what we want you to do because we are your employers. Go forward and let's see what we can get done out of that. That's how I feel about it. And of course, as a servant leader, because there's leadership in that as well, you have to make sure that you guide those processes the correct way, in the correct manner, so there's no confusion and no disrespect along the way. That's how I view that.
Okay, and why should the people elect you? We'll be right back with more Just for the Record after this short break.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What do you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, I can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What you really? Hey, this ain't like you,
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out that trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into I huff. I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
We now return with more Just for the Record. Okay, and why should the people elect you?
Well, I am strictly to District 7. And I am of the opinion that when you're contesting for a community, a district, you have to know it. If your passion is not deep enough for the area that you're representing, you'll find that somehow you're lagging a bit. For instance, if I see a young lady, for instance, in my community, whether walking the streets or smoking or something, it hurts me almost to tears. That passion, you don't want others to be looking down on your area, and we have a stigma, especially in Langlook. And when I tell folks that I am from Langlook, I was raised there, I was born there, that's where I receive all my qualities that I have. No, you're not from Langlook. Yes, I'm from Langlook. And just as I am, you have other individuals within the district who are like me. It's just that they haven't been given the opportunity. And I want to see that happen. I want to let the entire 1 to 9 district know that we have capable people in this district. And we are going to bring them forward. We are going to prepare them. And we are going to follow them through to where they want to go. They aspire to things. If you speak with them, they aspire to things. And I want to help with that process. I believe I can.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And if elected, what would be your preferred choice of focus and why?
Beautification and or young people. And that would not eliminate our elder as yet, because I am very much into my elderly folks. But I do believe they have a little bit of more structure. So beautification and young people would stand out more for me. When I was growing up in the 7th district, and like I said, I live specifically in Langlook, I always tell folks I used to travel those villages bare feet, and they were clean. But now you have situations where water is running on the street, areas not properly functional because there's a road not properly maintained. The issue with the garbage bin areas, those are all frustrating issues for me, because we never had that. We never had issues with bush and weeds growing up in yards, and you're passing it and it looks dirty. And I know there are many like me who grew up in the community, and I know there are young people who grew up under elders, with myself and after even my children, who wants to see better for our community. And we are going to band together, and we are going to do the necessaries. And I said we are going to band together because it's not every issue in the district or government can cover. So you have to be innovative. You have to find ways to address them. And this is where we are going. And I know the private sector is there, and I believe that they're willing. I've spoken with a few, and they're willing to do certain things. So you will find that I will be discussing issues with them, with regard, what can you help us with? What do we need to do? How can we be accommodating for you to come and help us? So we want to get into those discussions fully. The issue with the whole beautification with regards to our culture. We have so much history in that district. We need to capture, that we need to show off to our tourists, and even for our children to remember where they came from. So we want to revive those issues and get the ball rolling and getting our community, appearing like, yes, we are tourism friendly. It all ends up to nation building and all of that. You take your people, you take your tourism, you take your culture. It all has to merge together to make a difference, which lends to the whole concept of nation building. That's where we're going to go.
Okay, so we spoke about what would you do should you be elected. What are your professional plans if you are not elected?
Professionally, I am actually on the verge of opening back the grocery store, one of the first grocery stores that was in Longlook. I've started work already, and in the next couple of days I'll be continuing actually. I want to open that store because it creates somehow some form of belonging. You know, persons in the community have been pushing, and when are you going to open the store? And I guess what happened there is that, you know, you have the department and you're doing stuff and the time and so forth. But now I'm out here. I'm going to finish that up. So in the next 2 weeks, you should see some, and I might invite 284 to interview me there. And I want my community to know that I am going to open the store in the next probably the next 3 weeks or so. It will be fully furnished, etc. Not fully ready to open, but at least we can tour it and see what's going on. So I am excited about that because it will be in remembrance of my grandmother, Eglantine Benzin, Miss Tina. And, you know, she was a very influential person in my life. That's who raised me. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to be doing this for her.
Okay. I want to speak about some of the issues, obviously, within your district, firstly, and some of the issues in the wider BVI community. Right. As the former director for water and sewage, we do know within the District 7 there's a big issue of sewage. How do you intend on tackling that particular issue with your expertise within the 7th District and the wider BVI community?
Alrighty. And we all know that issue would be territorial as well because it impacts the whole image of the territory. So we want to bring that into mind. But specifically to the 7th District, like you said, it's a vexing issue, it's a very long issue. And I also said to my committee, I said, what am I going to say to the people of District 7 with an issue that should have been corrected years ago? And it has gotten worse because we continue to build and more pressure is being added to the system. The plans are there. It's not a lack of planning. It's not that. It's just the whole issue of prioritizing what's important to us as a territory. I believe that we, again, lost our way with what's important to this territory. And maybe with my input around the policy-making table, you could perhaps bring that understanding what's happening to the territory. And I know many years back, we had cholera in this territory. And what is happening with our sewage system, we are not too far away from that. So we need to address it quickly. The only issue with not getting it completed is funding. Once the funding is in, we are ready to go. And you will not get it all in 1 year, but certainly you could get it within 2. And I'm going to go back to the community of Paraquita Bay. Right now we have a grave issue down in that area. And only because the station is at Paraquita Bay. Let's get the station sorted out. Once we get that station sorted out, let's walk backward. Maybe backward from Wilkes Point back to the station. Let's get that sewage off of the road. Up to 2 days ago, I drove through there and it was sewage all over the road. And that's a health risk. What persons are not doing, they're not understanding that, driving through that water, you have splashes going up to the car. And if the splash is going up to the car, you're putting your hand on the handle or hand on the car, and you're putting it to your face or putting it somewhere in your body, you're creating a health risk for yourself. And these are educational campaigns we need to run with individuals. And I am hopeful that with this new administration, they will put in enough funding in the budget or if we go in, once I'm given the opportunity, once we go in, that we look at what's available in the budget for 2023 and see if you could repurpose some of the monies to let's buy the pubs for the station while we walk our way forward, because the pipe work is already in the ground, but we would need to bring the laterals down to the main line to get that sewage into the station. So let's just do what we need to do to make this hazard, this potential hazard, this health crisis that could happen in that community. And it goes to for Fat Oxley because we have a grave situation there right by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And in no time soon, you will have another one close to the police station. So we are in a dire need for correction in that area. And we are pleading with the politicians, as we will say, but I call myself a servant leader, and I'm hoping that everyone going forward to this new legislature would see ourselves as servant leaders and do the things that would make a difference in the lives of others, basically.
And another issue, and the reason I'm speaking on these issues because I know you specialize in these issues. Another issue is the water issue that we have still in the territory, especially in District 3, the 3rd District, for example, and some of the other communities across the territory as well. How would you seek to address that particular issue as it relates to the water issues in the BVI, and how bad is it presently? We'll be right back with more Just for the Record after this short break. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from 284 News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull.
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean.
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne.
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine.
You did a pretty hard workout today, so perhaps...
And as you can see, it's actually
you're feeling it.
Alonzo Boynes.
Taekwondo.
Adam Murrows.
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute beginner.
You are an absolute beginner.
And Seth Graham.
It bites. It will bite.
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy.
Today, I am doing cowbell treatments with Beyond the Reef. Today, we are doing shark research. So today, we are doing whale research with Beyond the Reef. And wherever I go, I take CCT with me because my life is unlimited.
We now return with more Just for the Record. Well, how would you seek to address that particular issue as it relates to the water issues in the BVI, and how bad is it presently?
Yeah. Most of our problems with water has to do with the piping underground. Long ago, we had, 2 reservoirs. We never had, like for instance, in the Rotong area, we had, 2. We have 4 now. There's more pressure going into the pipeline. And back then, I guess, maybe the resources was an issue. So the pipework that was placed underground is far below rating to what we need with the current pressure that's going into the pipeline. You are looking at pushing at least 275 to 305 psi pressure of water into the pipeline when you have a 150 psi or 209 psi in the ground. So you would see what would happen. The pressures that I just noticed, you realize we are pushing so much more into the pipeline. It will break. And when you fix that area, it will break somewhere else. And we need to fund the department properly, and I would want to say this to that department, because once you get into that type of work, the extent of the work to be done, then we go into a capital project. And capital monies are placed under ministries and not placed under the department. So we cannot do anything until the ministry says, okay, you have a go. Or until the Ministry of Finance says to the ministry, well, you have the funds now, you can go ahead. So those are the issues within the system that hinders the department from getting to where it needs to get. We at Scatliffe, we have lots of breaks in the area. At the pump station at Anderson, which is close to Agape School up there, the church. Right ahead of the pump station, we have constant breaks, and that's because of, like I said, the weakness of the pipes. And you cannot tone it down, you cannot do any of that because then no one will get water, or we will not be able to fill the tank. So we have no choice but to stay at our constant pace, 275, 305. Expecting and hoping and praying probably that breaks do not happen in the area to put persons out of water. So that's the situation there. And if you are looking, I don't know if the our audience are looking at what's going on. You have the frequent breaks, like I said, in regular areas. They don't separate too often. Just monitor it, you'll see. You could reliably go eastern and point out where breaks will happen. You know, it's concreted in, you could see, and you're constantly there. Not the department fault, it's just an issue with funding.
So funding is another issue. So how will you seek to get the necessary funding to resolve these issues that, as you said, plans are already in place? It's just a matter of having the funding to execute the plans.
Right. I believe that each ministry, we have priorities. The Ministry of Agriculture would have agriculture and fisheries, and they would have labor if that's where it is. The health sector would have the incinerator and the hospital and what have you not. You have to prioritize. You have to decide which areas you're losing. At the Water and Sewage Department, I think we would recall that then Premier indicated we were in $20 million in the red, which is the truth. And that happened because we added Bywater to the system. Bywater adding to the system brought along with it another $15 million per annum. Before, it was about 13. So that's where that big disparity came from. And I would want to think that you would want to put at least $10 million in an account to bring down those leaks in the system. It saves us. Let's bring it down, because every leak that you see in this territory, we pay for it. Because once that water hit the tank, once it hits the tank, we pay for it. So it doesn't matter where it go after that, or how it's wasted, or what you think someone is doing with it, we pay for it. So let's bring that bill down. Let's see how much we can bring it down by dealing with the leak-prone areas, which we know. Okay, we don't have to go figure them out. The information is there, the reports are there. So I would want us to focus on controlling and managing our wastage. That is one of them. I would also want to make sure, the health sector is being taken care of, and things that would take care of us into the future, like agriculture and fisheries, that we will look out for those. And there may be things that you could prepare to get those areas remedied. Let's prepare those situations while we are working to correct that issue that is wasting money. That's how I see it.
Okay. My next question is on the topic of accountability, transparency, and also accessibility.
Right.
What is your views on those three particular topics if elected as a politician?
Transparency, accountability, and accessibility. We have policies in place, and I didn't want to get into this discussion today, but we are here, so we are in it. Now, we have a COI here in the BVI, and when I read the report, I saw issues that could have been avoided if we were following up financial regulations 2005. And it's a bit disturbing when we are perceived as I'm saying a territory, because that's what it is. It affects all of us, whether or not you're in the service. It's a bit disturbing and frightening a bit too, because to do things that would put us in the light of being persons who do not comply, that's how it makes us look. Like the people of the territory do not conform to policies and procedures and what have you, which is far from the truth. So I always say, and sending out a message to our governor in the UK, that we have persons who know how to operate. We have persons, I believe the majority of us know that we need to function within policies and procedures and guidelines, and to keep ourselves straight and to keep ourselves accountable to the public. And we want that opportunity. We want that opportunity to show and to operate likewise. The CLI brought out many things that that I know we are going to correct, and I am looking forward to working with a government that understands that. Or people too need to understand that we cannot do things as we used to do. We have to be very transparent in how we function, in that you are following what's there for us to follow. And this goes out to even civil servants, because sometimes, we are in there, and I'm in the structure, so I can speak to it. You're in there functioning, and because you may not be complying or agree with a particular matter, how it's being dealt with, you're sidelined. When in fact, that civil servant is protecting you. So I want us to get to that level of performance in the service, where ministers, representatives respect the civil servants, and civil servants understand that ministers have their portfolio to carry out. We set the portfolio, but you are the ones with the knowledge who can take it forward. Let's sit down, let's plan, which they do. We do plan, but let's plan and do it the proper way. Be accountable, be responsible, and be in compliance with what's in place to manage us as well. Mm-hmm. So, it's words for both politicians and the civil servants. And I want to be part of that agenda to help set us straight. Because, as a former public servant, I understand what's happening. I've worked through a couple ministers well. Some would operate different and some won't. So we just need to get to that place where we have an understanding, and everything is being done to the building up of our country. So no one sidelining everyone, no one thinking, well, that's the party there, that's the party. I want us to get away from that. To me, when election is done, it's done. 13 ministers in the House of Assembly. We are working whether for your particular district, which lends to and adds to the wider scheme of things, and we're working for the territory. That's where I want us to get.
Okay. And what about accessibility? I asked this particular question too, because when politicians are elected, around this period of time, this is the time when they'll be around the communities and be reaching out to different people and businesses. After election is a different ball game. Accessibility is therefore the question. It's very difficult to get through to the politicians, especially from a media perspective. Some politicians, especially when we're looking to seek information for the people, on the behalf of the people, to get that information is very difficult. So what is your take on accessibility, and how accessible will you be if you are elected?
Yeah. Well, first off, accountability, and that's what you do. You hold accountable to the media. Now, governance, I don't know the training of ministers current with regards to governance, but that's the media's job, actually. It keeps you in compliance of being a governing body. How do you govern yourself that much without being questioned about it too? I find that once you are doing the right things, and people do make mistakes, and of course it's not too big to say sorry or etc. But once politicians are following the rules, once they're clear and open with regards to what they do, we shouldn't have an issue with being questioned. That's how I see it. I see it that you have to conduct yourself accordingly. And if you want to not appear in a certain light, you certainly need to be behaving in a certain way. That's how I see it. Open, frank discussions. If you did something you know you're not supposed to be doing and the media catches wind of it, you're responsible for it.
How would you, as a politician, if elected, how accessible will you be?
The accessibility, very much accessible. I don't like speaking too much, but in this arena, like I said, when you get into environment, you adapt to it. The media's job is to ask the relevant questions for territory to hear what your answer would be. I know that I need to be accessible. I know even at Water and Sewage Department, I did all I could to be accessible to people. It's a customer-oriented department, so you need that accessibility when it's needed. I took calls, weekends, because even in that environment and what is happening within the department, in the leaks and the breaks, etc., you want to be prompt in answering people. So answering the media will not be a problem to me at all. And that, I guess, would be too, because I know that I can toe the line the proper way. That is no question. I can toe the line where I need to be. That's the difference we need to make. I want to even get, even the civil servants, let them know, you have all avenues to do what you have to do. But let's get it done, but do it the right way. Accessibility to me is no problem. I talk a lot when I'm ready, so I don't mind. I will toe the line and do what I need to do. Yes.
Okay. I want to touch on another topic, my penultimate question. Issue that we've seen in your district more recently of gun-related crimes.
Right.
How would you seek, or what are your plans to assist the fight against gun-related crimes in the territory and also within your district?
Right. So I was able to, and I know the district too, but I tore it a little bit more in recent months. Lighting. There are areas within the district that I could use some more lighting, brighten it up a little bit to eliminate certain, the congregation of bodies, certain places. And I would like to see at strategic areas some cameras placed around. I believe we had to have one or two cameras around the area. But we want to make sure that even when I walk the street, I can walk the street whatever time. It's disheartening when folks are telling you they don't like the gazebo. It's already stained. How do we correct it? Let's get some cameras up, more cameras up. Let's get some lights up at strategic areas within the community. And that would have to be in partnership with the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force. I think that they are doing a good job, and I want to merge with them somewhat and discuss what can be done, because they are the experts in the area. So you want to make sure and include them. But we do have that issue that we need to address. And we are going to include some of our young men in the community to make sure that we identify where those lighting and the cameras, etc., they need to go. We cannot do it without you. You are the ones who are building up our community for you and your children behind you. So we expect that you would join with me to make this happen.
And finally, where do you see the BVI in the next 10 to 20 years?
Stable economy. Environment where we have employment, that would ensure that families could take care of themselves, sustain themselves. We want a territory where when the tourists come, they'll go back and brag so much about us that it will welcome other persons here. We want a tourism industry that is able to promote us as the very best worldwide. That's what we want. So we have to get all the bright minds in there. We have very good people in there now. We want to see them excel more, putting more of their knowledge and their skills into promoting that product. We want to see development that would encourage more employment, development that would encourage more training. As we develop, we need to be training our people to, work in those development areas. We look at the Eastern Fataxbe Harbour Development Project, for instance. That is going to bring employment, and while that's being developed, you prepare your people, you train them for those jobs. So that's what I want to see, a territory where, of course, we are proud of. We are able to go outside of these borders and just brag about the BVI, the Virgin Islands, as we say. And similarly, again, the tourists, they come in and they are able to go and spread the word around the world, how good we are, how clean we are, how welcoming we are. And this is where we see ourselves. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for your time, Mrs. Scatliffe Leonard, for joining us here on Just for the Record.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Okay. Well, viewers, that brings to the end of another episode. Hope you enjoyed the content from today's episode. Until next time, bye-bye. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from 284 News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull.
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean.
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne.
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine.
You did a pretty hard workout today, so perhaps...
And as you can see, it's actually
you're feeling it.
Alonzo Boynes.
Taekwondo.
Adam Murrows.
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute beginner.
You are an absolute beginner.
And Seth Graham.
It bites.
It will bite.
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy.